Hello everyone, welcome to Intermediate Accounting. This is a video to help you understand, navigate the course, feel comfortable with where all the learning tools, activities are and how to find them so that you can be successful in this class. We got a lot to learn. This is a continuation of financial accounting. So this is a continuation of journal entries, of financial statements, those things that are used to communicate financial information to those outside of our organization. So this course, if you've had any of my other courses, is organized very similarly. Across the top are the things that you would most likely use. Down the right side is my information and contact information. And in the middle is the news feed, which will give you an update on what's happening each week. Typically updated at least once a week, maybe even more depending on what's happening. But that's a good way, and it'll have links to the things that we're working on in that news feed. So that's how we try to make everything as easy as possible to find. All right, so looking in the content, and by the way, the resources are up here too, which does have all right. So looking at the content, the first module is the introduction, and of course it has the syllabus and a couple of videos about our focus and how to be successful. So our How to Be Successful video talks about kind of what's called a growth mindset, the idea that we learn from making mistakes, that we're not just inherently smart or not smart, but that it comes with learning. In fact, none of us were born knowing accounting. All of what we want to learn is new to most of us. Okay, and so we need to dive in, try things that we're going to make mistakes at, and that's how and we'll learn from those mistakes. Our focus really is on communicating financial information to the reader. So we want our financial statements to tell the correct picture. So everything we do, journal entries, adjusting entries, correcting entries, all of those are done in order to communicate. And so there may be multiple situations where things could be done multiple ways and still end up in the same place. All right? And we'll hopefully point those out as we go along. All right? There's a introduction, discussion. We'd love to hear more about you. But let's take a peek at the syllabus for this course and identify maybe some things that are a little different. Okay? The typical information at the top, office hours, refund dates, catalog description, all of those you can read. Okay? Please ask for help when you have questions. I expect you to have questions. The topics are going to be intermediate. They're going to be more advanced than what we learned in our early accounting classes. We want to assume that we already know how to make journal entries. We already know how financial statements look like, what they look like. If that is not the case, then please let me know or do a review going back to an old accounting textbook. Back to, I'll give as a resource, Accounting Coach, which is a pretty good online free resource. You can pay for some parts of it, but you don't need to. All right. Any of those. My online Accounting 151 class is available because the textbook is free. If you took that class or If you just like the link to that, we can get that for you. So you're expected to have questions. Please ask them. Ask them early, giving us time to work through the solutions. Okay, there's not a textbook for this course. We're going to have readings and descriptions, examples given in the course site that I've used, found in professional resources that illustrate what our concepts are. And that's how we're going to try to learn intermediate accounting rather than a formal textbook. So that's going to be a little different, but if you'll go through each thing in the module in order, okay, making notes, noting the things that are most important, asking yourself the question, what is the key concept here? Okay, how would I apply this? That's the kind of questions you want to ask yourself. Then I think you can be prepared for all of the learning activities as well as the assessments. Our assessments will be 2 exams. Both will be completely oriented on problems, and you'll be making financial statements. So you'll need to produce journal entries, financial statements, and communicate information to stakeholders. So that is our process. That is what we're doing in the tests. That's what we want to keep in mind through all of our homework and all our other assignments as well. We do have some discussion postings that are going to be graded. Your posting is usually by Saturday. It's usually a kind of something related to the topic we're discussing, but something that you wouldn't probably find in a textbook or in a typical learning environment, okay? But gets us to be thinking about some application difficulties, some things that might trip us up in a setting where we can post and continue to post until we get the right answer based on the feedback from others in the class. And that's the idea, is you're required to post at least twice, but please, if you have concerns or questions or are unsure, keep posting. You will not be able to see your other people's posts until you post. Once you post, you'll be able to jump in there, repost, make corrections, point out things or things you learned from other posts. All of those things are part of that discussion process. And that will hopefully be really helpful as you learn from your colleagues. As we reach about the midpoint of the course, although you can certainly start earlier, okay, we're going to put you in groups, and the assignment is going to be right here in the syllabus. The questions are at the very end of the syllabus, but I'll put you in groups and organize that so you can kind of share the work a little bit, work together, oversee each other's answers, be able to collaborate on the answers as we explore a real-world annual report. And we're going to do the whole thing. We're going to look at the financial statements. We're going to look at the introductory materials. We're going to look at the footnotes, not every single one, but several of them. As we go beyond what we would have done in, say, earlier accounting classes where it would just be the financial statements, we're going to look at the footnotes. We're going to consider some of the more complicated areas and try to understand what Walt Disney is communicating and then write about it. Okay? So then our homework. Each week we'll have homework after we've had a chance to read and study and watch podcasts about the topic. Then there'll always be some practice problems that I invite you to try and then look at the answer, because the answers will be right there. Okay? But you're best off learning, not just looking at the answers off the bat, but trying and giving them an effort, and then checking the answers to see what you may have missed or something. The homework you complete, post it in the Dropbox, and then you can see the answers. So the practice, you can see the answers whether you've done it or not. But for homework, you can't see the answer that I've created. And again, there's enough flexibility and interpretation in this that my answer is not perhaps the only answer by any stretch, but it's a possible answer, and hopefully it will give you some insight as to what might make your answer better, or just may confirm what you already know. But you can't see that until you post your answers in the Dropbox. So the system will release the video, make it so you can see it once you have posted. And then what I hope you'll do, and this is to get the full credit, is to make corrections. Go back to your homework armed with the answers, looking at the details, and making corrections, not just typing in new numbers, but commenting, putting explanation as to what you were thinking when you did the answer and what the correct way of thinking would have been. And we're not going to hung up on whether we put interest payable or accrued interest or little things like that. Because remember, it's about the overall communication. But we are going to look at things that would influence or make a difference in how the financial statements are structured, what the story might be told, and how our answer could be improved. And we can always look for ways to improve the financial disclosures. So then, based on your original answers and then your corrected answers, and if you put your corrections in a different color or highlight them in yellow or whatever you prefer, it'll make it easier for you to use this as a resource to go as reference, because this homework is going to be just in pieces what you're going to do on the test. So if you make your corrections and have the commentary there for you to use, it will be a great resource. And you'll get full credit regardless of how many corrections are needed, as long as you provide an explanation and highlight them. This is how we're going to go through the course. This is our course calendar. All the assignments, way too much detail, but I apologize for that, but I want to give you as much as I can. How we're going to do the grading, our makeup policy, withdrawal policy, attendance, just it's always a little different in online course, but you need to let me know if there's something that needs to be late, if there's a reason why, an excused absence, excuse why you can't turn something in on time. Absent any communication, I can't really do anything to help you, but with communication, we can work out, late work, whatever's needed. And we have some other policies about accommodations and academic integrity and what that looks like in the class. And as I promised at the very end, is that questions that you answer. We want to probably not get started on this right away, but don't let it go too long, because there's a lot to do, and it tends to be a lot better if you do it a little bit at a time rather than waiting until the very last minute. So that's how our course is going to work. That's how it's going to be graded. Those are the important points that I want you to remember. I hope you'll feel like this is all about you understanding as much as possible about financial statements. Hopefully we take a look at lots of examples of real financial statements of various pieces in doing so we can see how companies take that financial information and communicate it out to their stakeholders.